Love, the most fickle of all emotions. Fleeting, famous, and captivating, it has inspired us for millennia through stories, artwork, and music. This emotion is consistently prescribed a mystical element. However, with modern science, much of the allure has been removed. We now know that love is a jumbled soup of serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, and a litany of other secondary hormones, triggering the all-around sensation that we call love. This cacophony shares similarities across different categorizations, from maternal to romantic to friendship. Today, we're going to be breaking down each portion of the aphrodisiac formula. The most prominent chemical that people commonly associate with their idea of love is dopamine. This is a neurotransmitter as well as a hormone manufactured in your body. This is due to its dual purpose. One, to incentivize and make general life pleasurable for things like memories, laughs, and good times with your family. It also serves as a primary motivator for much of your body's normal functions, such as eating or sleeping, meaning it's both a necessary and desirable compound, made expressly for the purpose of hijacking your nervous system and providing you with your motivations, which is part of the reason we even seek out love in the first place. It is a part of our natural reward hierarchy, which is why the effects of dopamine stimulators are so much more addictive than that of other hormones. Serotonin is another hormone that is high in the reward hierarchy of neuroreceptors. Though not as significantly responsible for pattern forming and active pursuit as dopamine, its effects on the body are still powerful and all-encompassing. This hormone has been partly ascribed to different effects of mysticism and psychological disorders, though the studies on the correlation with one's own experience of indescribable and instinctual events is incomplete. It is still shown to be an effective and powerful hormone, responsible for a variety of functions in your body and brain. Most serotonin is found in your gut, and as a result, it controls things like your sleep, learning, gut health, and even bone health. It plays a crucial role in ensuring overall happiness for your mind and body. The third pair of the hormone monster trio is usually oxytocin, the chemical most commonly associated with raw attraction and base instincts. Its generation is closely associated with the reproductive cycle and the more practical applications of love. So that is a brief summary of the three main hormones that are ascribed to love. However, these systems are just one part of the total package. Love is not just a reaction. It is a complex dance with psychology and your society, beyond what one may assume. Attraction is not a fixed mechanism with direct evolutionary traits. It is in part a learned behavior that is largely associated with one's surrounding culture. This means that while the urge to find a match made in heaven is real, who you choose to do so with is just as much impacted by those around you as it is by what you might consider your own interests. While the degree to which attraction is affected by societal pressure is unknown, if something like love can be affected by outside pressures, it implies that a whole slew of bodily effects and reactions may not be as automatic and randomized as initially thought. Things such as what makes you angry or happy can also be influenced by preconceptions about the world and the society we live in. This means the brain, and by extension you, form natural frameworks throughout your life cycle, and ascribe them positive and negative emotions subliminally in order to discern motivations and discouragements. A neural network made by the environment and the world around us is a complex concept and hard to rationalize. The adaptive patterns of the brain are something that is seemingly infinitely complex compared to the way we can perceive the internal mechanisms of other animals. This capacity for love is also what many ascribe to be one of the final determinations of what we consider to be consciousness, with the range of emotions in relation to love forming empathy, and capacity to feel for strangers and other members of our society with no direct relation to one another, which is a rare trait in the animal kingdom. Because by extension, an animal would need to feel things like guilt or regret in order to share compassion for another. This inverse of love is also a key part of what we consider to be empathy, where if someone is not regretful or remorseful when a negative event happens to a loved one, the bond is justifiably questioned, which is an interesting thought, because logically, one might assume the severe effects of grief would be counterintuitive to the general functions of survival, with those stricken by heartbreak having lower energy, motivation, and drive than their unaffected counterparts. This sense of companionship extends even to the way we handle the recently deceased. As humans, we have centuries-long traditions of taking care of our dead. From Egyptian mummies to Viking funerals and ornate ceremonies, we feel a sense of duty to show our love and value for a person even after they've passed. The same dopamine receptors that are responsible for our feelings of desire activate during grief. This is what creates that sense of yearning or longing when an event occurs. When the desire for connection is not fulfilled, the dopamine reuptake is interrupted, leading to the feeling of loneliness. This means that our passion and sorrow are intertwined, which begs the question, Is it possible to experience what we consider to be love without grief? Or is the inverse possible? Can we achieve grief without a sense of love or general fondness? You can hate your job and still not want to lose it. On the other hand, one might argue you love the things the job provides you, like stable housing and food, but not the job itself. And the threat of job loss puts the things you prioritize in danger. Well, then what about the inverse? Experiencing love without grief. If a friend moves away or you head off to college and move to a different town, there is still longing and sadness even if the overall situation is desirable. So far, we have broken down the practical and scientific reactions in accordance with love. However, this does not account for one crucial fact. How does one fall out of love? Well, yes, sometimes the answer is obvious, such as a negative event or a betrayal of trust or loyalty. This is not always the case. There are times where people naturally drift apart. This should give us pause though. While naturally our hormone and adrenal levels are not going to spike as high as when we first met someone, there must be some baseline increase that is still present after a long time. We know that our brains can adapt and adjust to artificially elevated hormone levels. This phenomenon means there is an inbuilt cycle regulation that decreases over time. Studies have shown that people in long-term relationships do still feel a rush of hormones when shown a picture of their spouse. While yes, there is still hormonal and neurological stimulation, we already know it does not reach the heightened levels of first introduction. As we age, our appearance also changes. Sun-kissed, tan skin may grow freckles and wrinkles, or someone's crazy, creative hairstyles may lead to early hair loss.
Nothing out there for me. And that's the problem.
Much of these changes occur while our normal neurological conditioning still finds the things that are appealing, attractive, which is why people who cheat in relationships typically repeat their behavior. They are more susceptible to give in to cravings and chase that new dopamine speak, even if it's temporary. All of these factors make persisting love so much more beautiful, past the relations of the brain's hormone and dopamine levels. Love is a choice that we actively make every day. Hopefully, one day we can all experience the choice of love. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.